Hello, my third grade friends. We will continue reading from Wish Tree, chapter 16, where we last left off. The two police officers, Lewis and Sandy. I'm sorry, Sandy and what was the other officer's name? Um, Sandy and I forget his name. Sandy and the other officer came by. They looked at the tree. They put a yellow tape around the tree because there was a word "leave" written on it. Francesca is the owner of all the houses, and now she's saying she wants to cut down Wish Tree because it's giving her a lot of problems. So that is where we left off. Okay, chapter 16. When you are a tree, a phrase like "cut it down" is bound to get your attention. Can you imagine that? Cut down that tree. That means the end of Wish Tree. Francesca had hinted at such things before, but always in jest, like jokingly saying, I've got to cut down this tree. But she never did it, but now she's like really serious. After a long October afternoon, waking my newly shed leaves into crisp hills, or after a particularly messy wishing day, or after stepping on my acorns and bare feet, I felt bad about the walkways. It's an occupational hazard. To stay alive, I need a vast network of roots. And roots can be surprisingly strong. Did you hear that? Bongo said, watching Francesca enter the house. She sounded serious this time. I've heard it all before, I said. Unfortunately, the newbies heard her too, Bongo said. Bongo often calls a fresh crop of babies newbies. Those are the babies that are born in the nest that live inside of Wish Tree. She pretends to be annoyed by their antics, but I know better. Listen, Bongo urged. Sure enough, I could hear the baby skunks wailing from their hidden nest under the porch. But we love Red, Mama, one of them cried. Hush, said their mother. Fresh baked bread scolded. It is the middle of the day. You're supposed to be asleep. You're crepuscular. Crepuscular creatures like fireflies, bats, and deer are especially active at dusk and dawn. Will Red be all right, Mama? Asked another baby, whose voice I recognized as Rose Petals asked. All skunks named themselves after pleasant scents. Can you imagine that? Skunks, they kind of stink, so they like to call themselves their names of things that smell nice, like fresh baked bread and rose petals. I am not sure if this is because they're a bit defensive about their reputation, or if they just have a sly sense of humor. Of course, said her mother. Red is indestructible. Bongo looked at me. See what I mean? Oh dear, I said. By tonight they will all have heard. The possums, the raccoons, the owls. Little Harold will be beside himself. Harold was the smallest barn owl nestling and a great warrior. Meaning he worries a lot. Not a warrior, but warrior, meaning he's a person that worries a lot. Barn owls give themselves sensible, no-fuss names. I'll talk to everyone, Bongo said. Calm them down. Tell them not to worry. I'm sure things will be fine, I said. I've seen a lot in my years. The things I've fretted about that have never come to pass. I could write a book, I paused. In fact, I could be a book, I paused again. Because, paper is made of trees. Haha. Bongo gave a screechy crow laugh. She didn't even scold me for my lame joke. That's when I started to worry. Chapter 17. As much as I was concerned about the baby's reaction to Francesca's words, I was more worried about Samar. What would happen when she returned from school and saw the word carved into me? Would she think it was meant for her or for her family, as Francesca and the police seemed to assume? She came home alone, ahead of her class by a few yards, with Stephen. A reporter from a neighborhood newspaper was waiting on the sidewalk, interviewing people as they walked by. Word travels fast in our parts, especially when there's yellow police tape involved. Had they seen what had happened? The reporter kept asking. Had they ever made wishes on wishing day? What did they think the word leave meant? The reporter approached Stephen. Did he know why someone would carve leave onto a beloved local wish tree? Stephen stared at the reporter. Then he glanced behind at Samar, sending her a shadow of a sad smile. Without answering the reporter, he headed towards his house. Samar's eyes darted from Stephen to the reporter to me. She ran closer, saw the ward, and gasped. She reached her hand towards me, but as the police tape put me out of reach. Are you a resident? The reporter asked. Would you like to comment on the accident or on the incident? Samar didn't say a word. She turned and walked up the sagging steps to a little blue house. Her head held up high, standing tall, reaching deep. Isn't that sad? How do you think you would feel if you came home and saw something like that and would be very nice with it? We'll read another chapter. Chapter 18. Around 6 that evening, Sandy and Max returned. Those are the two police officers, Sandy and Max. When the police knocked on the door of the greenhouse, Stephen's parents opened it and answered questions. They shook their heads and they shrugged, like they don't know what happened. They shut their door and closed the curtains. When the police knocked on the door of the blue house, Samar's parents opened it and answered questions. They rubbed their eyes, they sighed. Then they too shut their door and closed the curtains. As Sandy and Max headed back to their cruiser, Sandy paused beneath me. I wonder if you could make a wish, she said. Might be your last chance. I'll tell you what I wish for, Max said. I wish I didn't have to investigate things like this. Isn't that a strong sentence? As a police officer, I wish I would not have to investigate things like this. Those hateful words that are carved onto Wish Tree. Sandy patted his shoulders. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. As for me, I spent the evening hours reassuring the parents and the offsprings who call me their home. They weren't just worried about where they would have to move to, of course. They were worried about me. I was worried about me too. I didn't want to leave the world I loved so much. I wanted to meet next spring's owl nestlings. I wanted to praise the new maple sapling across the street when it blushed red at sunset. I wanted my roots to journey further, my branches to reach higher. But that is how it is when you love life. All I could accept that if my time had come, it had come. After a life as fine as mine, who was I to complain? I was worried about the babies, though, about their parents scrambling to find new, safe places to line their nest, dig their burrows, hide their winter stashes of acorns. Most of all, I was worried about Samar. I don't know why. Perhaps it was because she reminded me so much of another little girl from another time long ago. A little girl I had managed to shelter successfully. Francesca's great-grandmother. Like I said, we go way back. So Red has been there for a while. He's a big tree, so he's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. So he was around when Francesca's great-grandmother had just moved here from Italy. So we'll find out more about Francesca's great-grandmother the next time we meet. We will stop there. I hope you guys enjoy the story. We're about 30% through the book. We might have to skip some parts of the book as we get closer towards May, just to make sure that we can finish the book. There's a lot in between that we could skip, so I'll let you kind of summarize a little bit of the story, and we'll skip over some parts so that we can finish the story. Okay, so that is where we are for now. We'll pick up the next few chapters next week. I hope you guys enjoyed your spring break and that you're back and getting ready to do your work. And I still miss seeing you guys. I hope to see you guys over summer when this is all over. Maybe we can all meet at Dunham Park or something like that. Have a big school picnic to see everyone and say hi again. So I hope you guys have a good week, and I will be back next week. Bye-bye.